Hey, 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 what's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unbossed Nightly News. As you heard, we got a jam packed show for you tonight. A lot of stories, a lot of content really to get to, and never enough time. I will say that it's never enough time. So let's get to this first story here. And this first story we have to cover is about this right here about the city of Columbus pulling their funding from all warming centers and forcing them to close immediately. Let's get right down to it because the mayor is saying we knew this wasn't going to last forever. While that is true, we knew this wasn't going to last forever. The way they just uprooted it is quite interesting. So, on this past Monday, the 24/7 warming center rather near Ohio State University closed due to safety concerns, and the Columbus Coalition for the Homeless said it had to close its warming center at the Broad Street United Methodist Church for the same concerns, safety. Well, when city council announced that they were going to be opening up these warming centers and they were going to be 24/7 throughout the season, they approved over well, not over, but literally nearly almost $600,000 in funding to fund three. The exact amount they funded was $590,000 to fund these three warming centers all the way through March 15th. But the money went to the community shelter board, and the warming centers were run by the Community Development for All People and the Columbus Coalition for the Homeless. So, the Columbus Development for All People currently have a notice posted up on all of the locations, on the doors of all three locations, saying the city unexpectedly terminated the funding for the warming centers, and the nonprofit does not support that decision. The organization's executive director, Mike Primero, said that the nonprofit intended to operate the center through the middle of March, with the funding ending early. Thursday was this last night open. So on any given night, everybody at these warming centers, the warming centers had about 80 people who were experiencing homelessness staying in in these warming centers each night. So about 80 people. So if about 80 people, I didn't do the math before coming on here, but we're going to do the math very quickly. If about 80 people are staying there on average a week, that's 560 people weekly staying there. So keep that in note. The mayor is now saying through a spokesperson, rather, that in a statement that was released, this is how news and word gets released when the mayor's going to do things like this, when Andy's going to do shit like this, how he releases stuff through a statement, through a spokesperson. And what the spokesperson is saying is that, and I quote, they've served their purpose. It was a one and done thing. They've served their purpose. The statement goes on to read, and I quote, they were never intended to be permanent shelters, but instead one part of many resources available to those in need, unquote. The warming centers were also only intended to be open through the end of February. The city ended the funding early when safety became a concern, unquote. So, I'm a little disturbed by this, that our city's homeless population here in Columbus, and any of us who live in Ohio and have been in Ohio for just even the last 4 to 5 weeks, if you bear with me, last 4 to 5 weeks, we've gone from extremely cold to 70 degrees. Just yesterday, in fact, it was 70 degrees and as a high in the middle of February, on February 23rd. And today, on February 24th, the temperature is now 34, 35 degrees as we are during the show. So it was a 30 plus degree drop in the span of less than 24 hours. And we know how the nights can be here in spring. I'm sorry, not in spring, in the middle of winter here in Ohio. So I'm a little disturbed by that. That they not only closed that, but then we have the residents of latitude 525. Then we also have Camp Shameless and all these other issues surrounding homelessness. Last year alone. I need you all to get me because last year alone, the city saw almost a little over 21,000 folk coming through eviction court. 21,000 is what the county saw. But the mayor has no, and yes, I did calling the mayor instead of Andy. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to work on this, but he doesn't really deserve to be called the mayor. And yet, this is America's opportunity city, as he likes to say. But opportunity for who? And he's up, just ending the warming centers, just yanked the funding right from them. In which the council said, hey, we are going to allow this amount of funding to you till the middle of March. But they're saying no. The funding was only allowed to go to the end of February. So which is it? I do have a question about that. And secondly, it's a little disturbing to find out that with these centers closing and the weather continued to be up and down, they our city's homeless population will not have anywhere to go. They just simply won't. So this is an election year, and with it being a local election year, the Andy Ginther has someone running against him who we've talked about and had on the show last week, and who he has running against him is Joe Motil. And so Joe Motel, he sent a statement to us here at Unboss Columbus about this issue. And Joe said in his statement a lot because in his statement, he also had a plan when it comes to dealing with transitional housing issues and housing people transitionally here in the city, which is supposed to be America's 15th largest city, in which we are almost at 1 million people capacity in this city. So Joe Motil said, and I quote, on December 5th, 2022, Columbus City Council allocated $595,000 to the Community Shelter Board to support these community warming centers, with about 130,000 of those funds going towards providing meals for individuals at the warming center. Only 2 months later, still in the middle of winter with storms on the way, the 24-hour warming centers are closed, unquote. Now, before I read the rest of Joe's statement here, it's very, I get that they close, one of the reasons that they're stating for closing the centers down is because of violence. I get that. Well, is there something else we could do when it comes to violence? There was one gentleman on NBC4 who has been utilizing the warming centers, and he said he had been utilizing the warming centers so frequently that he had become like one of the employees helping staff it and helping to do things. So, my question now becomes, if one person could do this, why can't we utilize all these other services we have, or not even, regardless of all the other services, why can't we teach and train everybody else to, hey, we're giving you these warming centers. We're allowing you to utilize these buildings 24/7. So why can't we now teach you how to come in here and clean up, not only after yourselves, how to put the food out, and all of those different things? No, we don't want to do that. My mom, my one of the things my mother and my grandmother always taught me, everybody, is you can't expect somebody to know how to fish if you never teach them. What do you mean by that, Devonte? Well, what I simply mean by that, everybody, is if we give them a house and somewhere to live, somewhere to like not just live, but somewhere to reside temporarily, but we don't teach them the fundamentals of how to clean it up and how to care for it, they're going to trash it. There's going to be violence, but yet we don't want to teach it. We want to give them a hand out instead of a hand up when we really need to be giving these folks a hand up, or else they're going to stay with the prices of rent and inflation and food in this perpetual cycle of doing this thing over and over and over again. And we are going to expect different results out of it, never really getting different results. Let's go back to what Joe said in his statement. Joe says in his statement, and I quote, Ginther and his self promoting, slogan spouting ways has no idea what to do regarding the needs of our unsheltered. He has a point right there. He goes on to say he only writes checks, pushes them across his desk, and pays no attention to the consequences. As an advocate for our city's unsheltered and someone who has visited encampments, spoken to and assisted their residents, and who learns from professionals what their needs are, I propose a more comprehensive plan that will address the continuing needs for our warming centers and transitional housing. Unquote. Joe has an 8 point plan. And this 8 point plan Joe has kind of reminds me of Elizabeth Warren when she was running for president back in 2020. Elizabeth Warren, if you don't know, her campaign, one of her slogans used to be, I got a plan for that. And a couple weeks when I spoke to Joe when he was submitting his petitions, and I was asking him what his platform was. I understand it was very early, but he couldn't like really explain it to me. And now Joe has rolled out his first plan, a transitional housing plan, and I'm about to take you line by line and detail by detail through it because it's the type of stuff that when you're running for office that you need to have a plan. And then once you have a plan, you need to be willing to implement it. But we all know that housing, with all of the council members who are running and all of the new people who are running for council as well, and Andy himself too, they're going to say they have plans for housing, but they aren't going to be able to produce the plans like Joe has produced the plan. So, Joe, great job to you. Let's get right to the plan. The first thing in Joe's housing transitional housing plan, as he's calling it, is the creation of an office of transitional housing that will oversee my quote housing first initiative. That's number one. Number two, funding the initiative with federal HUD, state, county, and city dollars. It will also require the support of corporate sponsorships. There we go with that corporate community partnership. Corporate community partnership. Love it, Joe. Using their words against them. Our local social and public health agencies and faith based organizations and congregations all working together on truly shared goals for the community as a whole. Number three, construct tiny home communities consisting of perhaps 20 to 30, 150 square foot units, with each one containing a dormitory style refrigerator, water heaters, cots with mattresses, fire extinguishers, and storage for clothing and necessities. Each community will provide security, hand washing stations, garbage services, bathroom facilities, electricity, and a centralized kitchen, portable water, and a public health support service. While I do like this idea, Joe, my question is, where are we going to build these communities at? Where in the city do we have space currently to build these at? Joe, we need to know where and what locations. And then, while I'm admirable of this goal and I like it a lot, have you, Joe, now talked with the different area commissions in the areas you're thinking about putting these tiny homes in? Because, Joe, are you going to put them in Clintonville? Because if I would expect if you're going to put them in Southfield and North Central and in areas like that are highly black populated, I would expect them to also and expect them to also, if there's space available, if not, there'll have to be space made available to be put up in the Northeast Area Commission and the Easton area. I would be also expect them to be put up in the Clintonville area as well. Yeah, come on. We need to know where they're going to be. The plan is good, but we need to know more about this number three. The fourth thing Joe says has in his plan is he's going to construct a new and slash or rehabilitate multiple unit dwellings for transitional public housing. Great idea. Number five, providing those living encampments, portable toilets, and 10-yard dumpsters until residents can be relocated into transitional housing. I assume with number five, Joe is talking about the encampments such as Camp Shameless that is no longer. And then there are other smaller encampments around the city. I really do. I love this one. Number six, rather. Contractual agreements will be signed with hotels to lease rooms for short term transitional housing if needed. Another phenomenal idea. It's kind of already been done and in the works, and it's was first done with Shameless. Secondly, it was then done with and currently being done with the residents of Latitude 525. So you're spot on using some of the programs that they're already doing because you know the pushback they're going to give you is, oh, we can't do this. It's never been done before. But yet you're doing some of these. So Joe, love it again. Number seven, the creation of the Office of Transitional Housing will also be responsible for administering a municipal ID program. Well, Joe, we need to know more about what this municipal ID program is. What is it? What do you mean by it? Because if it's like a regular ID, well, state IDs are now free now. They're now free through the Secretary of State's office. They have literally just rolled out that program with one of the new laws that were just went into effect at the top of the year. So I need to know more, and we need to know more about what your municipal ID program is. And trust, I will be reaching out, asking you to come on and to tell us about more about this and to break it down next week, Joe. So the eighth and final point in this transitional housing plan is the creation of a 24/7 harm reduction shelter center specifically designated for those who are suffering from substance abuse and disorders. Joe, phenomenal idea, but how walk me through how that is any different than any of the other centers we already have vis-a-vis Adam H and the new center they're building. Not just Adam H, but then the YWCA's and the walk us through that. We need to know more overall. If I was ranking Joe's plan a 10 out of 10, out of 10 points rather, I would have to rank his plan 7.5 out of 10. 75%, because and really I'm gonna rank it at 8 out of 10 because number one, Joe came up with a plan for something like this. He just didn't shut the door on him and say, hey, we can't do anything. He came up with a plan because this has been a problem for way too long as it is, and we've yet to do anything about it. Secondly, I give him an 8 out of 10 because I still have questions, and the plan is decent. It's very decent, but I need Joe to explain more to us about what he means by it. And number three, the third reason for an 8 out of 10 is I need to know more on the numbers about funding this. Yes, Joe says at the in his second point is that this is all going to be funded with federal, state, county, and city dollars, but it's also going to require support from all of these other corporate and community entities. I need to know how much this is going to cost. I need a hypothetical number throwing out there. If you're thinking somewhere around the 30 million line, 5 million, I don't know. We need to know the costs associated with it. So, Joe, 8 out of 10. And sadly, things have to get better when it comes to the city of Columbus and what they're doing to our people in need. Because if truth be told, we're all just a paycheck away from being where they are. We're no better. Just one paycheck away if we're keeping it 100, if we're keeping it real. We're back right after this.
Hi, I am recording artist Quan Howe, and you're watching Unbossed Columbus, Ohio. Stay tuned.
I believe that I haven't spoke to my father in almost a year, you know.
Let's go to Dayton, Ohio now, where the second mass shooting in the United States has occurred in just 13 hours.
Green, the year 2019 was the worst year I ever had in my life. At the end of May, my house was taken away by the tornadoes that hit Dayton, Ohio. The first day that I ended up getting out to hang out with my father, August 4th, 2019, mass shooter come walking down the side of the building and open fire, killing 9 in 32 seconds and injuring multiple people.
Newly released video shows panicked patrons screaming and taking cover in a nearby bar.
Into purpose and power, I created my foundation, the Fudge Foundation. It stands for my father's name, Derek Fudge. It stands for Flourishing Under Distress, Giving Encouragement. I've been helping survivors get the resources they need. We are the ones that are still here living.
I am so thankful for StreamYard.
I love StreamYard.
I'm thankful for StreamYard.
I love StreamYard.
I am super thankful for StreamYard.
What's up, everybody? This is Ron Lyles here.
Peace, Big Bless. I'm Chemistry Maestro.
My name is Gregory J. Watkins. I'm the director of the Worship and Praise Chorale, and you're watching Unbossed Columbus.